Looking for these better days.
It is Monday, March 2nd. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's what you need to know to make today a better day. That's right. The calendar has flipped to March. Let the madness begin. An exciting weekend in college hoops sets up the final weeks of the regular season as we inch closer and closer towards Selection Sunday. Plus, let's get trendy. We got some trends playing out here in the NBA we'll get to for tonight's schedule. We'll talk about the action on the ice as well. Mackenzie Rivers joins me on this episode of Better Day, presented by FanDuel. Mackenzie, we start in the NBA where we had a couple of streaks that came to a close yesterday. And early in the day, it was the Spurs seeing their 11-game winning streak snapped at the hands of the New York Knicks. A 114-89 win over the Spurs at Madison Square Garden, where Jalen Brunson cashed our over 2.5 three-pointers prop. He was 4 of 7 from three-point range, but he cashed the over 2.5 in the first quarter and a half of this game as the Knicks just stymied the Spurs on offense. Great defensive effort by the Knicks. How big of a win was this for the Knicks? What did you make of the Spurs in defeat?
I felt like it was a game that the Knicks had to win, and the Spurs absolutely didn't. 7 points from De'Aaron Fox, 89 points on. I mean, it's just one to throw in the trash bin. Jalen Brunson, he did go over his threes prop and went under his points prop, so it would have been a nice hedge, thinking he's not going to score very much on Victor Wembanyama. He didn't, but Wemby ended up with 7 turnovers, and it was a laugher early.
Yeah, and the handicap there was kind of like the handicap that you had on Cade Cunningham going up against Victor Wembanyama, which was he's not going to get inside. And we know Jalen Brunson, his game is predicated on that, drive, that floater, that Jalen Brunson floater, right? You're not going to get that against Wemby. And if you looked at the game that they played back in December, I think it was New Year's Eve when they played, Jalen Brunson was 5 of 12 from three-point range against the Spurs. So he knew the assignment. You have to shoot from deep if you want to score on Victor Wembanyama.
And there's always 2 ways to play it. So if you played both of those, I think maybe he'll get hot and go over, but maybe he won't, but he'll hit some threes. Mm-hmm. You probably are much more likely to go 1-1 than 0-2, and then you have a good chance of going 2-0. I put Brunson in my bucket of like similar scorers in kind of an unscientific way, but put Shea, Jalen Brunson, Luka Doncic, Anthony Edwards, all just scorers that can shoot from the outside but really want to score inside versus Wemby. Now 14 overs and 19 unders in that group. I don't think the books will adjust for it, and I think that's something we can go back to.
I love it. I love it. Also continuing to streak is Jaylen Brown going over his rebounds prop. We played this last night for Better Day Insider and Premium members. Jaylen Brown over 6.5 rebounds. He finished with 8 rebounds as the Celtics beat the Sixers without Joel Embiid, 114-98. Boston covers. They were 8.5-point favorites on close. And for Jaylen Brown, he finished with 27 points, 9 of 17 from the field. He had those 8 rebounds, and the streak has been snapped,
It's
Mackenzie.
been snapped.
Because
he got his nose dirty.
Exactly. We had about 60 consecutive rebounds for Jaylen Brown prior to getting an offensive rebound. He had 2 offensive rebounds last night, which helped him go from 6 rebounds to 8 rebounds. So I'm very happy about that because it cashed the over here. But he's now gone over. He's now gone over, and it was before yesterday's game. It was 13 out of his last 15 games. And it's like the book's not adjusting. They're still listing him at 6.5 rebounds.
If it was the opposite result, but the same narrative, you'd be like, man, why aren't the books adjusting? They should be drastically lowering his prop. He can't get rebounds. He doesn't have the energy during Ramadan. Mm-hmm. Are we saying? I mean, the data is pretty clear that, I don't know, he's just more energetic. I mean, people say fasting is good for you. You got the intermittent fasting trend. Maybe his head is clearer without all those carbs.
Well, what I thought was happening with the reason why we saw almost 60 consecutive defensive rebounds was I thought that he was conserving energy on defense, right? He's not playing on ball defense. He's not getting up in the face at the top of the key of the guy dribbling. And instead, he's maybe playing off coverage or he's playing drop coverage. And then he's there to collect the bunnies at the rim when the opposition misses a shot, right? Because
Absolutely.
maybe that makes sense. He's conserving energy on defense because he knows he's going to expel it on offense. But you know what? I watched a lot of that game last night, and it's not. I mean, yeah, he wasn't defending on the ball, but he also wasn't just like cherry picking, and maybe that's why he didn't have 15 rebounds like he did against the Warriors in that game. But he did have 8 rebounds last night, and this trend just continues to fly over. And maybe it's something we look to continue to play if they're going to consistently list Jaylen Brown at 6.5 rebounds. Now, the Celtics are on the second of a back-to-back here today, Mackenzie. And
Right.
I wonder, because if you recall, the last time the Celtics had a back-to-back last week, Jaylen Brown missed the first leg of that back-to-back, right? He missed the game against the Suns and then played in the second game against the Nuggets. So I don't know if, I haven't seen any reports of Jaylen Brown not playing tonight, but is that something that would give you a little bit of hesitation before you want to fire in on the Celtics?
Yeah, definitely for the side. We were talking pre-production about the totals in Celtics games on back-to-backs, and that might be interesting. The Bucks suffered a 27-0 run last night, so we know that they can be stymied for long periods. So I was looking at the total in that game. But yeah, I mean, they're going to be – it's one of those games where having your superstar doesn't really help you win that much. They're going to be big road favorites. It's just if they're focused that night, Jaylen Brown – to his credit, has been incredibly consistent this year. So it would be helpful, but only a couple points worth, I think.
Yeah, well, currently up on FanDuel, it is the Boston Celtics 7.5-point favorites at the Bucks. The total is 215.5, so a very low total. I actually looked up this year how the Celtics did on the second of back-to-backs this season. And this year, the Celtics are the best under team on the second of a back-to-back. They are 8-2 to the under this year on back-to-backs, Mackenzie.
And for the team that, for the last few years has the highest 3-point shots, as a percentage of their total shots in the league, it seems like something that could be really dialed up or dialed back. So it might make sense that they are so trendy in this department.
Yeah, so maybe we look towards the under, even though it's low. But maybe we look towards the under here for the Celtics and the Bucks.
It's 7 points higher than it was versus the Nets, and then they set like a 3-point record versus the Nets and scored 250 points in that game.
Yeah.
But when that result happens, you could say, oh, wow, that 208 was terrible. Or you could say, those games happen. And the Celtics are expected to be very good defensively. They hold the Sixers to 98 points.
Yep. Those games happen. Elsewhere tonight on your schedule, the Houston Rockets are at the Washington Wizards. Up on FanDuel, Rockets 15.5-point favorites. Denver Nuggets are at the Utah Jazz. Denver laying 11 on the road, and Denver suffering a loss yesterday to the Timberwolves. This was a spot where I actually thought the Nuggets were going to bounce back after their loss in overtime to the Thunder, and in the first quarter it looked to be the case. They outscored the Timberwolves 31-22 in the first quarter, but then a total collapse in the second quarter that they just could not recover from. They were pretty even in the second half with Minnesota, but they wind up losing 117-108.
The Nuggets are pretty good on back-to-backs this year, and historically they've been very good in the first quarter on back-to-backs. So it wasn't exactly a back-to-back, but after the overtime game versus the Thunder, the fact that they got up versus the Timberwolves seemed kind of representative of like what they've done historically, which is also kind of beat up on bad teams and not really deliver versus good teams. I mean, they have a bad record versus the Timberwolves. They have a bad record versus the Thunder. Pretty good ATS, but still like 6-11 straight up. The Nuggets fall to the 6th seed, and for guys like Zach Lowe to say they're really the Thunder and the Nuggets all year, Tim Lager, there's really the Thunder and there's the Nuggets all year, people saying that. They're the 6th seed right now, but they do cream teams like the Jazz. They have a good back-to-back record. I feel like they don't obviously lose the game, and I feel like they score a bunch of points. They're good to the over, as we talked about on the back-to-back. And I do think that they want to, let out some steam against this Jazz team, who are 21-10 to the over at home this year, trying to lose as they are.
So here we go. We have the Nuggets 8-4 straight up in ATS on the second of a back-to-back. They are 9-3 to the over in those games. Do you want to give a guess into what they are in the first quarter in those back-to-backs, the second of a back-to-back?
10-2.
9-2-1 straight up, 10-2 against the spread.
Oh, there you go. Yes, I meant
Yeah.
against the spread. Of course, I meant getting
10-2.
Of course, I meant against the spread.
10-2 ATS, Mackenzie, in the first quarter on the second day of a back-to-back.
Because Jokic is not unlike Zion Williamson, not unlike Joel Embiid. These big men that are like literally like nothing you've ever seen before. And not only are they most Shaq-like in their first quarters because they do get tired, but also just teams aren't ready for them if they don't play them regularly.
All right. Well, let's fire on the Nuggets here in the first quarter against the Utah Jazz. Currently up on FanDuel. Let's see. Do they even have first quarters listed? They do have first quarter. No, they just have the props, but they'll populate that later on this morning.
It'll be probably 3.5 or 4. It'll be expensive.
And then the Clippers taking on the Golden State Warriors, and Clippers are a 1-point road favorite against the Dubs here. We looked up the Clippers record on the second of a back-to-back, and it is not good. This
straight up, it's not good.
Straight up, it's not good. No. So straight up, let's see. Let's pull this back up. It is the Clippers are 5-5 ATS. They're 2-8 straight
Not
up.
good.
5-5 ATS on the second of a back-to-back.
But that's because Ty Lue's smart. So a lot of those ATS wins, where they didn't win the game outright, is because they weren't playing necessarily. Now versus the people that will probably be in contention for the 8th seed, depending when Steph gets back, this is a big game. This is a game that they will probably play their guys for. I like the Clippers here. If it's within 3 points either way, I think they win the game, and then you just got to cover.
Okay, all right. So maybe Clippers money line. Maybe I don't know. The Warriors are still going to be without Steph. The latest report is that it might be.
And
like
did you see Draymond
10-8.
Green in the last game versus the Lakers? He had a game worst -30. He hasn't been good for like years, but especially the last few months, people are just saying like, "Oh, this guy's back. He's worth a point to the line." It's just not true.
Yeah, they say
Not if you're watching the games.
It looks like 5 more games here for Steph Curry that he's going to miss. And meanwhile, like, I don't know what's going on with Kristaps Porzingis. There was a whole issue yesterday with Steve Kerr having to talk about what's going on with Porzingis. Porzingis is not going to play, I don't think, in this game either. So no Porzingis, no Curry once again. The team is a mess. I don't know. But
the books are not adjusting. I mean, they were 3.5-point underdogs versus the Lakers. It made no sense. They are the Kings right now.
But you also have that. You have that. Hey, the back-to-back trends with the Clippers being 2 and 2 and 8.
They did shock the Nuggets. Like Steve Kerr, give him credit. He can get these guys focused for 48 minutes. He doesn't always though, and they're just not that talented.
No, they're not.
They should be big. They should be bigger dogs.
Before we move on, Mackenzie, let's take a little victory lap here because the last time we did a pod and sent out a newsletter, we're basically done arguing. Like we're done. Right. We're done screaming that Con Kneppel is the NBA Rookie of the Year. We're done arguing. It's over. It's over. He won the award already in our minds. It's over. And at that point, when we sent out the newsletter on Friday morning, Con Kneppel was a plus 120 as the second favorite behind Cooper Flagg to win the Rookie of the Year. Well, the odds have completely flipped now. And Con Kneppel up on FanDuel is a minus 170 favorite to be the NBA Rookie of the Year. And dare I say, Mackenzie, it's case closed. Like, everyone knows now. And yes, if you didn't bet it, the first time, I love this, because I actually went back through all of our newsletters, and we had mentioned back on, let's see, it was January, I have the whole list here, January 30th was the first time we brought up Con Kneppel to be the Rookie of the Year, okay? At that point, Con Kneppel was plus 300, but we said that Cooper Flagg has the edge. This was our exact conversation. It was a game between the Mavericks and Hornets where the Hornets won 123-120. Remember, they didn't cover the -3, right?
Yeah,
and we had the Hornets minus the 3. Cooper Flagg had 49 points in that game with 10 boards on 20 of 29 shooting. Con Kneppel had 34 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 10 of 16 shooting, and hit the clutch free throws for the win. At that point, we said Kneppel is underrated. We talked about the Hornets' January turnaround mirrors his individual trend line, and Cooper Flag has the narrative that people like to vote for. So we had mentioned Kneppel was undervalued at plus 300. Then less than 2 weeks later, or maybe exactly 2 weeks later, February 13th, we sent out the newsletter talking about the All-Star weekend and Con Kneppel. Okay, we had mentioned Con Kneppel undervalued Rookie of the Year contention. We talked about him being the best player in this field of the Rising Stars Challenge, all that stuff. And I believe it was the quote you gave out the line here. I'm reading from our newsletter on Friday, February 13th. You said, looking at dunks and threes, estimated plus minus for players under 22, only 2 players positive to their team, and Cooper Flag is not one of them. Okay? So we talked about Con Kneppel being a +2, massive.
+2 is huge.
Yes.
+2. There's like 100 players between 0 and +2.
I know. On Tuesday, February 17th, Mackenzie, you and I had enough. And we said, this is it. The play is Con Kneppel plus 500 to be the NBA Rookie of the Year. So we bought in finally at plus 500 on February 17th. Our next update was on February 24th when we talked about Kneppel being plus 300 and more games for Cooper Flag being missed. And then we basically made Con Kneppel the highlight of our newsletter and podcast last Friday when he was down to plus 120. And now he is the minus 170 favorite. So, victory lap has been completed.
Yes, victory lap is due.
Yeah.
I will add, additionally, that it didn't hurt that Cooper Flag missed 10 games in a row.
Yes, of course.
So, I mean, that is definitely part of the odds and betting. I mean, if Con Kneppel goes out, the -1, or even if Cooper Flag comes back tomorrow, that minus 170 will change. If he misses 2 more games, it might be minus 300.
But that's the thing that we talked about. Like, and I've been trying to tell people this, that the more games that Cooper Flag misses, it's not so much for me the danger of him not getting to the 65 game threshold.
I agree with you.
The case for me is just him being out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Con Kneppel is leading his team to the play-in tournament, leading his team to a playoff spot probably, breaking the rookie record for three-pointers, leading the NBA in threes. There's just too many arguments to support this kid as the most impactful rookie. And you gave the great comparison last week on the Melo versus LeBron, and it's funny. I actually, on VSiN last night, I was joined by I'm drawing a name blank. Terrence Oglesby was on my show last night. Now, he does stuff for the Hornets, right? He's a broadcaster for Hornets Live. And he also does college basketball for the Field of 68. He calls games for like the ACC network, all that stuff. But Terrence on my show last night said this reminds him of the LeBron and Carmelo Anthony Rookie of the Year, where Carmelo led his team to the playoffs.
We were in the zeitgeist.
Yes.
Representing.
Well, Terrence could just be an avid listener of our pod and reader of our newsletter,
as he should be.
Yes.
And I think just like Felix Hernandez finally winning the MVP with a 12-12 record, it would be a great testament to the fact that we're past box score watching and assists per game overzealously tracking in the modern NBA. If the Hornets actually, but you said make the playoffs. You want to take that bet? I mean, you're like, they're probably going to make the playoffs. It's kind of broadcaster speak when it's like, oh, this team's trending in the right direction. They're 10th right now.
I'll bet it. The Hornets are minus 138 to make the playoffs up on FanDuel.
I did not know that. I would have guessed they were plus 110. Wow. I mean, I'll take the bet. I threw it out there. So it's Pistons, Celtics, Knicks, Cavs, Raptors, Sixers. Okay, that could be the top 6. Probably will be. Magic are not going to get knocked out in 2 playoff games if they're the 7th seed. Mm-hmm. And then it's Heat, Hawks, or Hornets. I feel like it's one team out of 3. I feel like I got 3 outs.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Can we agree that the Hornets are not falling out of the play-in round?
Yes.
Okay. So as long as I got the Hornets in this mix, can they rise up to 7 or 8 and have the double chance? Absolutely. But even if they're 8 or 9, I'll back this team to win 2 games back to back. What have we just seen? I mean, what have we talked about? The Hornets are a great back to back team. Like, I think it can do it, Mackenzie. I think they can do it.
The question is, how much do you care about the priors? Maybe none, where they're supposed to win 24 games. And how much do you care about the last month, where they're like the 5th best team in basketball? I'm going to hang on my priors just a little bit, and take you up on that. So, dinner bet on the Hornets to make the playoffs.
Well, up on FanDuel right now, Hornets, yes to make the playoffs, -138, no, +104.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
College basketball. We unveiled our new college basketball model for Better Day Insider and Premium members, and through the first weekend of playing the games on the model. This is something I've been working on for pretty much all season, and I've been tracking, and finally I'm comfortable with the results to the point where we're starting to give out these as official plays to our members. It had a 3-2 weekend, which was really 4-2. Because I should have played one of the games that I didn't give out. So it's 3-2 officially. One of the losses, Mackenzie, was a 10-point favorite on Saturday that was up by 10 before allowing a basket in the closing seconds to only win the game by 8. So it was
a half win.
Yeah, it's kind of like a half win. And then the game that I didn't play. So Saturday, it spit out like 7 or 8 games in the model. But like the way that my model works is each game has like a threshold, and I took the top 4 games in that threshold to play as official plays. The 5th play would have been a winner. It was like Stetson plus 5.5. And I didn't play it, and they won outright. It should have been a play because it was there was a big gap between 5 and 6, but there was also a gap between 4 and 5. So the reason why I cut it off at 4 was because there was that gap between the top 4 plays and the 5th play, but there was also a significant gap between the 5th play and the 6th play. So maybe I should have included that 5th play in there. But anyway, it was UT Rio Grande Valley who won by 8 against East Texas A&M. And at the end of the game, there was a basket that was made that pulled East Texas A&M within 8. Actually, I'm sorry. It was oh my goodness. It wasn't a basket, Mackenzie. It was free throws.
Why would you foul up 10?
It was a missed 3-pointer with 16 seconds left and a foul with 13 seconds left. The kid made both free throws to make it 63-55 final instead of 63-53 final. Think about that. If they get the rebound on that missed 3-pointer,
like they make the 3.
Yeah, and Utah Rio Grande, they missed the free throw with 31 seconds left. They could have gone up 11 with 31 seconds left. They missed the free throw. So anyway, the model, I'm happy.
It'll happen.
Yeah, it'll happen. I'm happy with the model. It did spit out a couple of dogs that went outright. It loved Texas Tech on Saturday. They went outright. How about this? I ran the model for yesterday, and I only gave out one play yesterday, and it was a winner. It was the under 153.5 in the Memphis game.
So now 4-1 on official model plays in college basketball.
4-2 on official model plays. Okay, 4-2. The other game that it spit out that was a significant gap, right? That I was like, this is beyond the threshold. I'm not confident enough to play it. Was Ohio State plus 6.5. Ohio State won outright against number 8 Purdue, 82-74. So this model's cooking, bro. I'm happy with this. Like it's cooking, dude. This thing is cooking, and it's not complicated. Like I'm not doing, it's not like as simple as the Luke angle, which by the way did not have a good weekend. But I mean, we kind of expected that to happen, right? Like
I guessed it was going to be 53%. That's how close am I? If he's 2-11, it's going to be tough.
I mean, all these games are kind of coin flips. We kind of expected that, there was going to be some drop off. It was there. Anyway, the angle did not lost a couple of games this weekend. But anyway, what was I saying? It's not complicated. I'm not doing I'm looking at the projections from the analytics sites, but I'm actually taking it a step further, and I'm looking for market variability. Okay, so I'm using like 4 different sites to project a final score, and then cause some sites already have their projections like Bart Torvik or Haslam, but then I use other analytic sites that just take like kind of like in the NBA like net ratings, right, Mackenzie, to like kind of get a projected score. But then I am sourcing the sharpest international books that kind of set the market before the American markets kind of catch up. And I'm looking for discrepancies for the sharp books versus the, dare I say, square books, or the novelty books, the FanDuels, the DraftKings,
recreational books. Yeah.
Good. Recreational books. Love that. It's a great way of putting it. So yes, obviously a sports book that takes $500,000 on a game, is going to be sharper than the sports book that when I press enter only allows me to bet $11, So it's interesting, but we're cooking right now. And then we'll keep unveiling those for Better Day Insider and premium members, of course, as we head now through the month of March. Speaking of college basketball, we have 2 games inside the top 25 here tonight. Number 1, Duke is at NC State. Duke right now up on FanDuel, a 9.5-point favorite. I think I'm done betting against Duke, Mackenzie. Like, I think I just gotta accept that like this team's gonna win the national championship. Like they're just so damn good. I don't know. I can't do it. I lean towards NC State.
This sounds like what people say after, and then tomorrow we're like, no one saw NC State coming.
Dude,
they stormed the court.
I've bet against Duke like a bunch of games now, and I'm losing every time. I can't do it anymore.
Remember the angle? The first week back at number 1, and they were up like 80-20 against Notre Dame.
Can't do it. Elsewhere, number 2, Arizona, a 7.5-point favorite against number 4, Iowa State. Iowa State's not going to be number 4. They lost to Texas Tech on Saturday. New rankings will come out later today. They're not going to be number 4. Arizona will still be number 2. But Arizona minus 7.5. I kind of lean Iowa State after that loss. A little bounce back performance from them. So we'll see how this spread moves, and then we'll see what the model likes for the college basketball slate here as the smaller conferences will start to get their tournaments underway this week, as the brackets will start to take shape with the auto bids and whatnot coming up here as we have officially flipped the calendar to the month of March. Mackenzie Rivers. Let's talk about the NHL real quick. We had underdogs rule the day yesterday, 5-1 on the money line. The underdogs went. The only favorite that won was the Anaheim Ducks in a shootout. We actually played the Ducks in regulation, so that was a loser for us. But 5-1. I had a tweet loaded up and ready, Mackenzie, to send out if the Ducks would have lost, about how underdogs went 6-0 in the NHL. And if you did a money line parlay, $100 would have won you $28,000. Would have been a cool tweet, but
imagine. Okay, you feel bad because that tweet didn't come through. Imagine if you made that underdog parlay for $100.
I mean,
and you were about to tell everybody
you're cashing out as soon as you go to overtime.
Maybe you didn't. Maybe you found out about it too late, or maybe your bookie who gave you the parlay doesn't allow that. There's at least one person out there that's listening.
But then when you go to overtime, no, even if you can't cash out, don't you just bet, $14,000 on the Ducks?
You would try. Try. Yeah, you probably could get down if you're savvy enough to make it $100 underdog parlay on that night.
Yeah,
you probably get down.
All right, here's your schedule tonight on the ice. You have the Red Wings are at the Predators, where up on FanDuel, the Predators minus 111 favorites. Blue Jackets visit the Rangers, Columbus minus 125. Flyers are at the Maple Leafs, Toronto minus 134. Carolina at the Seattle Kraken, and Carolina minus 184. Dallas is at Vancouver. Dallas is minus 196. Colorado visits the LA Kings. Colorado minus 176. Now, Mackenzie, the Kings fired their head coach yesterday, Jim Hiller. Does that mean we get the fired coach boost here for the Los Angeles Kings?
I mean, you have. I don't believe in a blanket fire the coach bounce bet, but was it a particularly toxic environment? That's usually when the relief is and the aggression comes out. Teams have something to chip over their shoulder, so to speak.
I don't know. I would have fired him after he challenged that goal against the Edmonton Oilers when they had a 2-0 series lead. And
was he liked though? We don't know.
I don't know. I'm not with the team. I don't know. But that, and dude, when he lost the series when he challenged that goal, because first of all, they were up 2-0, right? They had a lead in Game 3. The Oilers tie the game. And then he challenges the goal. And what happens when you lose the challenge? You take a bench minor. You take a penalty. So not only did the goal count after it was, upheld with the replay, but so the Oilers tied the game, but then on the ensuing power play, they took the lead. And so they never turned back. And they won 4 straight games and eliminated the LA Kings. So think about that. Up 2-0, up a goal, you give up the game-tying goal. All you got to do is just shut up and not challenge it, and then take your chances in a tie game. Maybe you win that game. Maybe you go up 3-0. Maybe you go to the Stanley Cup final. Who knows? But, yeah, I would have fired him after that. But anyway, we'll see if we get the fired coach boost. As a reminder, check out the homepage up on betterday.com. You'll check out our daily free play. Also, find out how you can elevate your betting game by becoming a Better Day Insider or Premium member. Exciting news coming this week. Major League Baseball content is coming to betterday.com. We will have a brand new MLB page up on the website. We have new contributors joining us at betterday.com to give out picks for Major League Baseball, to write some content surrounding Major League Baseball, and who knows, maybe a new podcast or two involving Major League Baseball. First up, though, the World Baseball Classic later on this week. We'll give you the best bets for that as we move along. For Mackenzie Rivers, I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's hoping you make today and every day a better day.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.